Far Cry 4 has been out for a while now, and Far Cry 3 was my favorite game the year it came out. So does Far Cry 4 live up to those high expectations I set? Let's find out. Yo guys, what up? It's your pal Jake here, Far Cry 4. I've been playing it. I had really high expectations set because Far Cry 3 I absolutely loved. I put countless hours into that game, more than I even like to admit. Which, to start off, if you were a fan of Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4 will feel very familiar, and I think that's both good and bad. The setup is pretty much the same here. Once again, you are a foreigner who comes into an awesome new country and meets a crazy villain that graces the cover of the game, and you have to shoot everybody. Only this time, the protagonist is even more lifeless than the last. But this time around, you get to explore a way more exciting land modeled after the Himalayas. There's a ton of variation here, from snowy mountains to deep, deep woods, and I found that really refreshing. I didn't expect the game to be so varied, but it totally is, and everywhere you go feels almost like a completely different game. What I really liked about Far Cry 4 is that this time around it really embraces the open world wild shooter in the fact that you're actually prey to many, many animals. Sure, in the last game you'd have cheetahs sneaking in the grass and they jump out and tear out your throat, but this time it's just so much more relentlessly hard. Everywhere you go there's a snake biting you in the ass, or a rhino chasing you down off of a cliff. It's ridiculous, and it's so much fun, and it makes it really, really challenging. And once again, the enemy AI is very challenging. They are crack shots, they're pretty good at spotting you, and I love that. And what I really enjoy is how awesome the stealth still works. It's just a pretty good, simple stealth system with cool combat kills. You know, you can sneak up behind a guy, stab him in the back, take a knife out of his pocket, throw it at his friend, pull out his gun, shoot someone else, all pretty simply with the press of some buttons, and it works fantastically. What I love about Far Cry 4 is that it really embraces the fact that you're like this Himalayan Rambo simulator. It's just ridiculous. You can ride on top of a fucking elephant and shoot people while you're on an elephant, and you can have your elephant fuck people up and stomp on them and flip cars, and it's just so awesome. Granted, of course, that's not always the right thing to do, like Max Payne 3's shoot dodge. Sometimes it leaves you really vulnerable and it's dumb to do. It's like there's a right situation for everything in this game, and that's fun. There is so much to do here, and maybe that's a little bit part of what my problem is with the game, is that it focuses so much on giving you that padding, giving you all these extra bullshit side quests to do that can be fun, but there's races, there's things to hunt, there's things to collect, there's towers to climb. It feels very much like Far Cry 3, and if you played Far Cry 3 a ton, you're gonna find yourself having a little difficulty getting into the beginning of this game. It took me a couple of hours of dragging my ass back into this game and turning it on and playing it until like Far Cry 4 really showed what it is and how it's different. That initially it was just a slog, and it took me a long time to get into, but when you get into it, it really gets rolling, and it is really fun, and I can't emphasize that enough. But you know, for some people it might not be. You know, some people won't like going around and killing 7 wild boars to make a new knapsack that carries more bullets, but I love that shit. I don't know, I just find it fun, and I love climbing up towers and claiming points. Granted, it's starting to become old hat a little bit, and I am starting to get a little bit tired of it, but you know, for right now, it's good. I still dealt with it in Far Cry 4, and it's fine. It's fun to play. But really, like I said though, if you did play Far Cry 3 a lot, you're gonna have a little difficulty enjoying this one at first. I think you really have to invest some time into this one until it really shows its true colors, and you can understand why it doesn't feel like Far Cry 3.5. It does feel more like a Far Cry 4, I guess. I go back and forth with that, but you know, I don't know. That's a hard question to ask. But one thing that really does bother me is that the main villain, who, you know, of course is on the cover, played awesomely by Troy Baker. He has only like a couple of very small moments in the game. He kind of bookends the game. You basically see him in the beginning. Throughout the game, he occasionally just talks shit on your radio to you for no reason, and your character barely even answers. And then you see him at the end of the game. And that's unfortunate. I really expected more, especially considering it's Troy Baker. What is with Troy Baker being in games lately and being underutilized? Like, we have him in this, we had him in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. What's the deal? Use Troy Baker more before we get sick of him. So, like I said, if you're not really a fan of repetitive, mindless Ubisoft games, you might not like this one. You might not like escaping into the woods of Kyrat or the mountains and snowmobiling and shooting terrorists in the face. Fuck, it's just really cool though sometimes. I get really excited because it is just so cool when, you know, you punch a jaguar in the face and then kill a guy with a bow and arrow and then take his bullets, pick up a gun, shoot people, set a forest on fire, and, you know, sick rhinos on people. It's just so cool. And playing with friends is awesome. Honestly, I don't do co-op that much, but co-op is the perfect addition to the Far Cry games because it is awesome. And it just makes the world feel even better and more dangerous, but you're more in it when you're playing with a friend. So that's basically how I feel about Far Cry 4. In conclusion, rhinos are dicks and elephants are your friends, and it's fucking awesome. But let's talk about Far Cry 4 in the comments below, because I'm sure a lot of you have been playing it. And if you haven't, feel free to ask me any questions. Let's talk about the game down there. Guys, thank you so much for checking out this video and for checking out all my videos and being a Patreon person. person or liking or sharing or whatever you do. And one brief thing, I want to give a quick shout out to my good friend Josh McCouga, who has a show called Between the Sheets, and they're looking to get up to 10,000 subscribers for January, for his birthday. Happy birthday, Josh. It's a really awesome talk show that I watch every single episode. It's got a little bit of a sexy side to it where they talk about scandalous stuff, but it's also very highly comedy based, and he has great guests. He's an awesome dude, so I really highly recommend, and from the bottom of my heart, that you do check it out, because it's a cool show. And if you do, let him know I sent you. But anyway, that's it for me, guys. As always, I'm Jake Baldino. You can like me on Facebook, you can yell at me on Twitter, you can watch me on Twitch, and you can subscribe because video games.